Hi, Space Cab. Oh my goodness, we were terribly excited. Our very first mathematics professor who wants to talk with us about anomalies and a lot of other things. So we should just get to it. Enjoy.
Do.
Wow, welcome, Christopher Lee.
Thank you so much.
Gosh, yes, and thank you for. I feel like LinkedIn has been very supportive of Space Cab so far. Um,
Yeah,
my
LinkedIn is a
father is a
surprising source
mathematician.
of really interesting people to connect with. It's been a
Yes,
fruitful network,
it,
uh, just
it
in a
changed.
lot of surprising ways. Yeah.
That's how I feel. I was surprised deeply
hmm
when we started this that LinkedIn was basically the first place to get an interview with anybody this way. And we're really excited to have you. And you're a mathematician.
Yeah,
Titian.
maybe that's the appropriate term. Yeah, I'm a
I feel like it
mathematician
could be.
who's yeah, I mostly study
Anomalous.
anomalous mathematics, kind of meta mathematics. What does it mean to do mathematics in terms of the conscious and
What
I
does it
have,
mean, do you think?
I did research and I did a tenured professorship, and there's a lot that happened post pandemic to everybody, and I just felt like I wanted to branch out, and it was too the tenure system is a little bit too tight to study
Is
the
it?
types of things I was mostly interested in. Yeah.
Okay,
um
but I heard that in a way it was also handy should you want to produce papers on anything fringe if you are
mhm.
tenured, because then you have a backing. Is
You
that
do, and you still
yes?
have to publish, yeah, and if you're
Ah,
pretty sure that you can publish, because there are 7-year reviews and things, you do have to kind of keep up appearances, in some sense.
sure.
Yeah, but you're right, it's certainly not something you'd want to study before tenure. I think that's changing. I think even on LinkedIn, I've seen a few grad students who are studying anomalous objects in the sky, UFOs, UAPs, and all that kind of stuff.
I looked at your Skywatch,
Oh
the
yeah.
little. So, what is Skywatch?
So I'm using a night vision infrared set of binoculars to gather data about what the typical night sky in Western Washington looks like from our vantage point.
What
And
does
the
it look
reason I
like? It
started
looks pretty
doing that was
good.
my partner. Yeah, my partner and I saw something one night when we were up in Oak Harbor, which is
Okay.
northern part of the state near the border. And I kept thinking, well, I'd like, the cell phone picture I got was awful, right? We've all seen like the
The-
potato pics, right? And I submitted it to MUFON, and they were more or less lukewarm on it, which they should have been. It was awful, right? It was
I
terrible.
liked it.
Well, this was a different picture, granted.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
sorry.
the Yeah, the one that I sent is now, I'm using infrared, so that was shot
Oh, yes,
in
the
night
infrared.
vision.
Right.
Yeah, it's not in color. And the color, I did get a little cell phone footage of that object, which was a straw golden yellow,
Wow,
which
was it?
came from the north and went to the south and had
Okay.
two solid bright lights and one dimmer light in a triangular configuration.
Really?
And I have 6 minutes of it going above me all the way to the south. And in that footage, you can see all sorts of satellites pass in the background. So it's definitely in front of the satellites. Yeah. So that was April 1st. That was this week. I've seen streaks here and there that are really hard to identify. They don't look like meteors. But this was the first one where I was like, well, that's strange to me.
What is anomalous math? What are anomalous? phenomena in mathematics?
I think that's a really good question, because I think the conception of what a mathematician does might not be fully public. We're responsible for creating new mathematics.
Okay.
So, one of our jobs is from the ether, from our creativity, from consciousness, from experience, wherever we draw this from, we are to construct and create new systems of mathematics. And involved in that is the proof process, where we use logical arguments to make what we're saying true. And that process of rationalization, of using axioms and then logic to arrive at truth, is inherently full of things that seem very contradictory from our perspective. We think of mathematics as the language of the universe, right? How often have we heard that, right? But in mathematics, you can take a solid pool ball, say, right? A three-dimensional ball, and you can cut it into 5 pieces. And then you can reassemble those 5 pieces in such a way that you get 2 balls of the same size as the original. Yeah, so this seems very paradoxical from a physical standpoint. You don't really want to be able to just create 2 things from one, or maybe you do. I don't know. It seems reasonable. But in mathematics, this is a provable truth. And it
Okay.
seems anomalous if you identify math with reality. It's one way in which math is not describing the physical reality that we live in our experience yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. How do this is a weird question, but how do UAPs and mathematics intersect? Do they?
Yeah. Yeah, they do. It's a really good
Okay.
question.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of different ways to approach that. One, right off of the bat, is from the historical perspective. After the Second World War, the Department of Energy was involved, of course, in controlling the nuclear secrets. And the people involved in that, I guess, is the Oppenheimer movie. If you all saw the Oppenheimer
I loved
movie,
it.
yeah, me too. It was so
I
good to
thought it
see those
was
characters.
it was good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I enjoyed seeing Feynman play as bongos. I'm a huge fan of Richard Feynman,
Yes.
so yeah, it was really cool. But these people were involved in determining the role of the military industrial complex and their technology going forward. I don't think it's conspiratorial to say that. That's what we were told, by the president at the time.
Project
Um,
Paperclip,
yeah, yeah. For example, right? For one
for
example.
example, just to bring out a name.
Yeah. So, John von Neumann was a mathematician who was actively involved in that circle of people at the time. And he wrote what I believe would be the first paper on spacefaring autonomous robots.
Wow. What a title! And I wish I wrote it.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember exactly the title, but the idea was that he, in the latter part of 1947, which is a year that should ring some bells,
Yes. Ding, ding, ding.
he started thinking about what we call now automata, things, that have their own complex systems in which life, so called, might develop, where playing a game on a computer with an equation, you might represent a population that grows and shrinks. And over time, you might see some really surprising patterns, right?
Yes.
And they might take on a mind of their own in some sense, right? So the modern idea of AI was born in 1947 in the mind of a mathematician, John von Neumann.
Oh, I feel like I should have
And at
really
that
known that.
point, yeah, mathematics and physics at that point was not very separate.
Hmm.
This was not many years after Maxwell wrote down Faraday's mystic ramblings into equations to be used to harness the electron and create electricity, right? So
Wonderful.
This was not that long after we electrified the world. So it's an interesting time to think about where mathematics may have already intersected UFO technology, so should such a thing exist, right? It sounds like it probably
Yes.
does.
Yes.
I think in another way, we've lost a lot of the historical spiritual context of mathematics.
Do
If
tell.
we go back to the Pythagoreans,
Yes.
who developed their system of numbers to represent their spiritual ascension, to them, mathematics was a spiritual process you went through before you were allowed to study philosophy seriously.
You had to
And it was an
ascend
important,
before you were allowed to
yeah,
study. Wow.
yeah. So you learned
Could you
logic
imagine if
through
that was now?
mathematics.
Okay. Yes.
I try to. I think
But
early in
it
my
is.
career, yes, I definitely did imagine that. I think later on, I realized that the practicality of the matter, we've kind of gotten
It
ourselves
is.
into a real bind in terms of making things. So I think in that sense, if you view questioning the conscious activity that we're all undergoing, I
Mm.
believe that that strongly relates to the UAP UFO issue. I think there's plenty of statistical data from people who have studied meditation and seen objects or lights or orbs. I think you can make these statistical correlations pretty easily in data sets that exist in New Fork or the French data, or they've certainly asked people if they had been undergo what were you doing when you saw the UFO, right?
Right.
I was
It's
thinking real
important that
hard on
you
this
know.
problem. Yeah.
Are you a Jacques Vallée fan?
I think I'm slowly working through his books on the forbidden science.
Yes, I have it. I know Finnish. I
Yeah,
read, I
I
listen to him on Audible. I love. He's a thing. I don't know why we're
yeah,
talking
he's
about it.
certainly
It's because you said French.
been a constant. Mhm.
Yes.
It's his accent, right? Yes, it's his
Isn't it?
accent. It's been
And he
very
was in the
interesting
movie,
to
for
watch
goodness
how
sake.
he's interacted with the newer breed of people getting involved in UFOs. Diana
And
Pasulka,
AI
the
and,
professor
and
of,
and AI. And I heard him doing a podcast
Mhm.
with Kelly, somebody Chase, somebody.
Yeah,
And anyway, he's fascinating. Do you think that we could be living in an AI? Are we living in a computer simulated reality, as some people think? Kind of another silly aside. What?
I think the answer to that might be in whether you believe we're having kind of an emergent experience that we're interacting with, or whether it's more of a determined experience. I think there's a little bit of room for both. I think
Correct.
the
I
answer
do.
has to be both. I've heard highly regarded string theorist Leonard Susskind talk about what he would need to build a universe in a piece of material on a lab bench.
Right. Not very
And I
much,
have
or
to wonder I have to wonder what the experience would be inside that piece of material.
right.
Um,
Oh,
I
that
don't.
was
I think
trippy.
AI is really trippy right now for real. I mean, when I first
Mm-hmm.
started using AI, I was kind of an early, not adopter, but early interest, heavily using GPT
Wow.
before
I
four
love
came out.
ChatGPT.
Yeah, super
I
cool.
asked it all about you, and then I could not understand the questions it asked me to ask you. Full
uh,
disclosure.
it's getting better at stuff like that. I've been slowly feeding these large language models mathematics um, since 3.5 came out. More and more developing and working on some really weird problems, some very strange problems. And it's only been until the last perhaps month or just really few weeks with Claude AI that I'm
Okay.
starting to see a competent mathematician at the level of, say, a disinterested grad student office chairer, the
Fair
people you
enough.
bounce
Kind of
ideas off
standard
of.
fare.
Yeah. So I feel like the
Disinterested
AI is
college
becoming
student.
easier to work with, easier to work with.
Wow.
People
It's
tend
growing
to,
up.
yeah, it's growing up, growing up.
Baby's growing
I think
up.
people tend to think it's going to be accurate and tell you everything, but you have to be discerning.
Yes. Oh gosh, it's true. It really cares about what you ask it. Okay, wait a minute. So, what do you think about the singularity?
Oh,
Is that a goof question?
I don't think so at all. I spent a lot of time on Reddit watching people talk about the
Right.
singularity because I'm interested.
What do you think about Reddit?
Uh,
We'll ask that later.
yeah, we'll get back to that. That's a long and complicated one, but
Correct.
certainly I think a singularity, an apocalypse, a revelation, a disclosure, these are all words for radically changing paradigms in our conscious experience, you know.
And do you think we're not heading towards that, or do you think we are, perhaps? Or
I think we're in the midst of one. I really do think we're,
I
yeah,
do.
yeah. I'm not
Yeah,
sure there's going to be a point of no return in the future, but I think in hindsight, we'll see that we're past it.
we're past it.
Yeah, I don't think we're able to see that right now, but I
No.
think kind of the Pandora's box has been opened. It's going to be impossible to keep large language models getting larger unless there's a materials problem with war or the other types of things that can happen. Earthquakes. We just
Right.
had an earthquake in Taiwan.
Gosh, I have a soft
So I think
spot
it's
for the
inevitable that
Taiwan.
some sort of large language model might um,
What do you mean by that?
eventually have a really serious job.
What do you mean by large language model? I'm sorry to be
Oh
ignorant.
yeah, so GPT and the
Hmm.
other AIs that are successful right now, um,
Hmm.
basically what they're doing is they're trained on a large amount of conversation,
Okay. Okay, this
and
is
then
why
from
baby
that
is growing up.
conversation, they have a bunch of
Right.
guesses of what you're going to say next,
Right.
and so they're always trying to guess what you're going to say next, and the better the guesses, then the
Oh,
better the
oh,
model.
oh. Right.
Yeah.
Intuitive scripting or texting or silly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
unless you're creating art or something like that with it, which it's still doing that. It's just in a different output format.
Yes. I love the art programs. I love the AI art programs. Now this I'm just
Oh,
becoming a
yeah,
fellow
I do too. I was
episode. Do
writing
you? Of
articles for
course
a
you do. You're a
while. Yeah.
musician.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fact that I could write music, and in the early days of the AI art thing, I could make a piece of art that would either inspire more of the music or fit with what I did. I could
Okay.
just make a quick video of it and it was a very satisfying thing. Was I creating high level visual art? No, I was using a vehicle to get my sounds out there, you know. And
I
I
I
think
love
for a
it.
lot of people that's what it's been. I enjoy writing articles and then having just crazy AI art with it, you know.
Oh.
The
Oh.
prompt is going to be related to the text
Yes,
that
it
I
is.
wrote,
Oh my
but
gosh.
yeah, but trying to figure out how is another level of communication.
It is as well.
Yeah.
Christopher, what sort of experience have you had with our friends, the sky peoples?
Yeah. Well, I think,
Okay, here we go.
yeah, here
Oh,
we
I'm
go. Here we
sorry
go.
if I've overstepped my area.
Not at all. Not at
Dear
all.
me.
I,
Bless.
you know, when I was a kid on my swing set,
Oh my
I looked
gosh.
up into the sky,
Oh my gosh.
and in the clouds, there was half of what would be a perfect human face.
Stop it.
Perfect. Half. Right down like one side was cloud, the other side slit like a razor, was like a marble carved statue face of a man. Someone that looks like, later I saw a cover of Kierkegaard on one of his books, a little bit like that.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I had a hell of an imagination as a kid, but this was real.
That felt extra.
Yeah, this was, and I just looked and I looked away and then it was gone. And I think that experience, regardless of the source, started me on a kind of a career of questioning what I was really being told and what I was seeing and what I was experiencing, and starting to ask questions. I think without that, I would have been perfectly fine not asking any of the questions that I know I probably won't get answers to now.
It's impossibly wonderful and fascinating. Oh, what a trip down adventure. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and it was soon after that I got swooped by an owl that disappeared, and
no,
it's been, yeah,
an
yeah,
owl?
yeah, yeah,
You have to tell
it was
this a
about,
full story, Christopher.
okay, so it was
I'm
very soon
I'm
after
I'm
the
worried
thing.
about an owl, but go ahead.
When I was young, I lived in a basement apartment of a courthouse, a county courthouse in the middle of Wyoming. And the courthouse was adjacent to two parks. And when I would come home in the evening, I'd jump out of the car and run into one of the parks. And one afternoon I did that. It was about 5 in the evening, and I ran into the park and I heard the slightest sound above me. I looked up and there was an owl, just kind of, the classical full spread out wings with the claws, and every detail was there, and I flinched, and I
It
couldn't
was,
see it anymore. Where did it go? My friends in the park did not see the owl at all.
hmm.
For me, it was as real as the marbles, on the playground, if you want to call it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was indisputable for me that it was there, and I don't know. In retrospect, were they connected? Was something trying to get my attention, to ask questions?
It's a familiar mention with ET experience or owls.
Only recently has that been on my radar. I
Mike
think
Clellan.
some
Have you read the Mike
Yeah.
Clellan?
Yeah, that's the name. And
Yeah.
I haven't dived into it at all, but I believe there was a podcast title mentioned somewhere. That's crazy. I gotta read that.
It's a big thing. Yes.
I wonder what that's about.
Christopher, have
I
you ever
wonder what
been
that's about.
hypnotized? Have you ever been
No, I
regressed?
haven't. Not yet. I've said that I want to.
Are you
I
going to
do
do
want to
it?
do a past life regression. Yeah, I am going to do it. I am going to do it
Oh
for sure.
boy.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
the face incident, I really didn't. I mean, it was always just kind of there, but it didn't strike me as super strange until I guess I had enough experience with reality to realize, oh, that was actually very non-typical.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. And since it's been once, as you know, once you start looking for it,
Yes.
you'll
It
find it.
comes to you.
It comes to you. Yeah,
It does.
as weird as that sounds, I mean, I spent many, many years trying to be a staunch rationalist materialist, but at some point, if you
How
keep
did that
asking
go?
enough questions, yeah, it didn't work out. In one sense, it worked out because it helped me forge, what's going on right now, but it certainly um, can't be extended to the entire truth. That's another mathematical
Yes.
anomaly. There's a
Okay.
Gödel's theorem from the I think 30s or 40s. And what it says is that if you have any logical system that is
Mhm.
capable of expressing arithmetic, then there are statements in that logical system that are true but cannot be proved,
What does that
which
mean?
would say, well, I think it means that if you have any definition of what rational is, the irrational must exist.
Hmm.
Or if you identify the natural world with the logical world, then the supernatural must also exist.
You can't deny that. You're speaking the truth.
Yeah,
That is what
so
it is.
it speaks to our
Wow.
dualities. Yeah, it
Correct.
speaks to our
Correct.
fundamental dualities,
Correct. Holy
Yeah.
moly. Is Gosh, is mathematics science seems to be changing
I agree.
because of
Yeah.
UAPs. And is does that mean that mathematics has to change in a way too, or does it how do they live together in that realm?
There's a large part of mathematics that exists to serve physics, of course. Um, that's true for the mathematics since Newton and the mathematics of string theory and so on. Mathematicians, I don't think, are aware in general of how weird their questions are.
Really?
A lot of them are so deep in their results, they don't understand that the things they're talking about are just not only unattainable for the average person without a lot of work, but really far out there, man. You know,
Yes.
like it is really a trippy subject where a lot of surprising
Yes, it
things
is.
happen. And I think mathematics is going to have to come to the fore and establish itself in this whole debate about what is real, about our ontology, about,
Wow.
you know, we talked earlier about the Banach-Tarski paradox with the balls that you could take apart. It's
Yes.
not physically possible, but in a world where AI relies on mathematics, it is.
Okay. Is that
Because an
not
AI
an
can produce
extension
that
of how
digitally. Go ahead. Yeah.
But is that not is that similar to like interdimensions in a way or
Yeah, I think so. I think, inner dimensions can mean spatial, but it can also mean density, right? Density of conscious experience.
right.
If you're aware of not only yourself but your household, that's a different
Okay.
conscious experience. If you're not only aware of yourself but your community, your nation, etc., right? So the larger you are as a collective being, that's gonna dictate that.
Does not sure how to ask it. Well, how does what does consciousness mean to you? How
Yeah.
does
Okay.
a mathematical professor observe consciousness?
I think for the most part they don't. They
Okay.
should. They don't, and they
I
should.
like the crazy talk though.
Um,
I kind of see this. Okay, keep going.
yeah, there's a biologist, uh, Donald Hoffman, who worked with a mathematician to generate a model of the conscious experience.
A
And
model of the conscious experience.
yeah, so if you
Good
think
luck.
about reality as having discrete kind of interactions, how those interactions build up into a complex experience. Stephen Wolfram, the physicist who also
Yes.
created Mathematica, software, etc., he has also examined this question, starting with a
Okay.
book called A New Kind of Science, where he goes into the automata of von Neumann and
On
develops a
Neumann
whole new
again.
science based on automata.
Right. On
So, from
automatons.
Wolfram's perspective, there's automata going on, perhaps, that are involved in the conscious experience. I tend to side with Roger Penrose, who's a Nobel Prize winning physicist and mathematician, who goes back to Gödel.
Okay.
And that consciousness can't be computable because if it was, we would be able to
What would happen?
rationalize all of our truths, and we can't do that. So, Penrose's
Um,
argument that I tend
it,
to fall under is that consciousness is not a computable phenomenon. It's not something that is mechanically logical. It's not purely an emanation of a logical system.
quantum
So to me,
computer,
the
does
conscious
that?
experience is a transcendence of that. It's a
Yes.
gluing of all the rational experiences into a new kind of reality.
Hmm.
And it's hard not to intersect that with the UAP issue, with any odd or anomalous phenomena that we experience.
Do you have any feelings about where you think it is? What do you think is happening
Yeah.
with? UAPs and sort of where Jacques Vallée might feel we're sitting? Like, what are we sitting up against, do you think?
Yeah, I get the feeling from Valet, he very much connects it to, so-called traditional spiritual phenomena, angels and demons. He was mentioned in Diana Pasulka's book
I
as
love
giving
Pasulka.
her a book on, yeah, she's great for
Do you
sure.
love her? I love her. Oh my gosh,
She,
golly.
she gives a lot of academic
And her
rigor
funny
to the
voice.
subject that doesn't come from physics.
Right. Nothing to do
Science is
with.
overwhelming, but there's also social evidence that we have, and she does a great job of framing the social evidence. But I think what I get from
Chris
reading what
Bledsoe.
she says about Valet is that he's very interested in the kind of the occult side of it. And
Yes.
once, when talking about Valet, Gary Nolan, the immunologist from Stanford, he told a story about a UFO encounter in France, I believe, where two children and a parent were in a car
Right.
and they saw a hovering disc above their car. When they got home, they couldn't see the UFO on the picture, but they could see a little triangle, tiny little triangle.
It's the coolest thing in the world. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird that the reality and then the snapshot.
Yeah. I mean, is our conscious experience even worth relying on based on our technology, or is it the other way around? Is our technology failing our conscious experience?
I don't
It's really
know.
hard to
And I'm
tell.
afraid
It's really hard. Yeah.
sometimes, truthfully. Um,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear out there
yes,
being
too much.
produced and be able to hold on to. Right now, it looks like people are concerned about Monday's eclipse. Um,
Oh gosh, golly. How do you feel? My dad calls me daily to say, now, Elizabeth, so you have to test the CD to make sure you can look through it. And then I finally said, Dad, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to see it.
yeah,
I mean, I kind of do, but I don't want to be
I
Trump
think,
about it. And I didn't buy any classes. So,
yeah,
No,
I
but
think
um,
you gotta look at it, man. Tomorrow.
really? Well,
it's
what
going
No,
to be a
exactly is it? Now
it's
show.
I
not.
feel stressed. We
Sorry,
have 3 days.
it's not tomorrow. It's Monday.
Monday.
Uh, Christopher,
We're going to be
like you way
gardening.
out on the West Coast, you will
Yeah, I
not
live on the
get the.
West Coast.
You
Oh,
I'm
the
not
won't
going to
get
be
West Coast.
able
Oh,
to
you
see
now.
look
it.
a little West Coast to me. You sound a
Yeah,
little West Coast, you sir.
that helps. I did live in New York for a long time, so it sounds
Oh,
like
I
I've
love New
chilled
York
out a
too.
bit.
Yeah, but even New York is not going to get, depending on where you are in New York,
Um,
Fort Erie, Buffalo will get a totality. Toronto won't. You know,
oh, we
it's
won't
it's
Really?
see
it's
it.
a,
See, there we go. I
no,
don't know.
it's
Dad's all worried for nothing.
no, it's a real
Yeah.
fine line. It's a real fine line where it will be, and I'm
Oh, but
pretty
you might be
sure.
able to see it then, Christopher. Is that what's happening?
I think it's
No,
going to miss
no,
me.
no, you won't get to see
No.
it at all. I don't think this.
No, I don't. I think it's going the wrong way across the continent for me.
Okay, it's
It will intersect with last year's path. There's a big X over the United States. And just
okay.
north of San Antonio, those people will now experience two in a row.
Right. But not the
Yeah,
rest of
the
us?
locals.
How does that
Not the
happen?
rest of
I
us.
don't understand
Yeah, it just
science. Uh-oh.
crosses right over this place in
Wow.
Texas. Yeah,
Okay.
it's also NASA on Monday during the eclipse is going to shoot 3 rockets at the moon.
I don't, you know what? I, I suggest don't do it. That's what I'm
Yeah,
gonna say to NASA. Don't maybe, and they've had problems on the moon before, and I don't know.
it gets better.
Okay,
We might be able to see what's called the two-horned comet that's up in the sky right now during the eclipse.
there's a two-horned comet.
There's evidently a two-horned comet. This is a big Monday, really, in the
Gosh,
sky.
And
And
I think the Blue Jays have their opening game here in Toronto tomorrow.
And what
Are
if
you
they
a
win?
baseball fan?
No, it didn't. No, they're gonna suck. Yeah. No.
They're not going to make it.
Aw.
Christopher, like you like music.
Oh
What kind of
yeah, yeah. So
what
I
do you look like from like ZZ Top? Like you
yeah,
gonna spin a
definitely.
guitar over there?
Yeah, I'm a guitar player and a singer for a progressive psych band, a heavy psych band called Kvasir, named after the Norse god of poetry and curiosity and teaching and so
You look a wee Norse.
on.
You do.
I think that's what 23andMe decided to tell us too.
Oh, were you
But
part
yeah,
of that?
that's yeah, I had
You
to give
were.
my DNA up just to see what it was like.
Oh, wow. So you are a proper Norse. Are you Palladian then too?
It's the Sami tribe in
The
northern,
Sami tribe. Hey
yeah, the
now.
northern Norwegians. They're reindeer herder tribes that
Oh,
spread
you are
across the
lucky, lucky
northern,
duck. You're
yeah,
the
the
real
Eurasian.
Vikings. I give it up, but I take back my Danish roots, but good for you, lucky duck.
It was something that wasn't even on the radar until my family put together finally a bunch of documents that we've been carrying around since we were, in North Dakota. Um,
Where were you
for
born
carried to North
exactly,
Dakota
Illinois?
years ago. I was
Where were you
born in
born?
Wyoming, originally. I'm originally from northern Wyoming.
Wow.
So no, didn't really grow up around people, and I moved from
Gee,
Wyoming to New York City, so that was just a huge transition for me,
I
like really
suspect.
eye-opening. Yeah,
Culture
it's been
shock.
a long chain of very different perspectives. But
Call
yeah,
it
involved
culture
in the
different.
band. We're having a reunion of a punk rock band I was involved in, and I'm teaching and tutoring, and I feel like it's just, this a
You're a
constant
busy
source
man.
of, yeah, interesting stuff. But wow, it's Flying Saucer Festival in Chehalis,
Oh,
Washington.
Yes, thank
oh.
you.
Yeah.
When is it?
So if y'all are familiar, Kenneth
When is it? I
Arnold
write it
in
down. Yes.
1947, right?
Yeah.
He took off from Chehalis Airport,
Yes.
just south of where I am,
Wow.
and he saw the shapes over Mount Rainier. And every year we have a celebration in Chehalis, and it's always in September. This year it's like September 13th, I think. I have the information. It's September 13th and
Oh, send it.
14th.
Send
And
it by us,
okay, yeah, for sure, I
please.
will. And
Thank you.
this year we're celebrating disclosure. The theme is disclosure, right? So
Yay,
whatever that
team!
means to
Let's do
you,
it.
yeah,
Wow, they're
yeah,
really. Yep. Let's do it. Maybe next year. Okay.
yeah. We always have a film fest, or last year, I guess we started having a film fest, which was really cool. So Friday night, we do the film fest, contributed film fest. And then on Saturday, we have a speaker series, which I moderate. So last
Cool.
year, we had Jonathan Dover from Skinwalker Ranch, and he was
Oh
also the
boy.
Navajo detective, if you've
Oh
heard of
my
The
him.
gosh.
Skinwalkers. No, God.
Yeah, yeah, Jonathan
Yes.
Dover. So he was the one that the ranger that came by. Gosh, he was so interesting to talk to.
Was he so
I,
interesting?
oh yeah, I really got a kick out of him. We had Chantel Shands, who is the granddaughter of Kenneth Arnold. So she talked about what it was like
Oh,
growing up
oh, oh.
being Kenneth
He
Arnold's
had his daughter. He built. They had an owl, and he built it
an
a
owl.
beautiful.
Ooh,
Well, then I
There's a
have to look
lot
into
ooh.
of
that.
connection between the two. Just saying,
That is interesting.
isn't it?
The
No, but
Flying
it's true.
Saucer Party is sponsored by the Historical Museum, so maybe we can get an eye on that owl.
You should. Oh my
So
gosh,
Ray,
you should try to do that.
Yeah.
Good for you,
after what
Christopher.
whatever.
Yes.
It was so wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Me
Yeah, it's nice
too,
to
and I
talk
really
with
want to
people
go
who
to
are
your
just want to weird out. Yeah.
flying saucer convention.
Oh yeah. I mean, if y'all ever get down to
Yes.
Washington, you got to keep your eyes on the sky down here and see what's going on in the local festival scene.
Okay, well, we'll look you up when we get there.
Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you then. I'll have to look at the paper. It's so bizarre. Okay, do you believe
Okay.
that the solving of an equation could have an immediate effect on the natural world?
Yes. If you check out Rupert Sheldrake's idea of morphic resonance,
Morphic. Oh, he's okay. I know this term.
yeah,
Okay.
then it could be that solving an equation is a way that the resonant consciousness field works out its own consensus reality.
Um.
Yeah. Because we
Did,
are small organisms participating in a larger organism's well-being.
so this was Space Cab's interview with Professor Christopher Lee-Jenkins, hyphenated, and he is a mathematician of topography. And he is also studier of AI and anomalous math, as well as blank, blank, blank. Okay, Space Cap, get into it. Okay, tell me it.
Okay. I was living in Sydney, Australia. I was 25 years old. I had this job where I was raising money for something called the Australian Wilderness Society. And the job involved dressing
What
up
year
in a
was
koala.
it? It was not
1992.
Do you dress up in a
A
koala?
koala suit. And I would go on the streets and raise money for this charity that would basically be for forest preservation.
Yeah,
which-
because like
Because the
15 years
koalas
later, they
live
burn.
in yeah, exactly, the same forest. And one day a photographer from the National Geographic came and he spent the whole day with us, photographing us in our bear suits doing various things. Shot
Did
thousands
you wear
of pictures.
little bear suits? I didn't
Yeah,
even see
yeah, yeah.
Really?
Well, that's the picture that's in the magazine. The only picture that actually made it into the final issue was a picture of two of us in bear suits marching down the street in a demonstration, and one of those people is me. But you won't really see my face because I'm wearing a bear suit, but it is me, and I know it, and I have the issue. Definitely a proud moment. And it was a freaky job, dressing up in a bear suit, like on a foreign country on the street.
They did that for pandas.
Yeah, but
They
what I
do
love
that
about it is
in-
like in a bear
yes,
suit, you're
yes.
kind of a character, not a person, right? So everybody
You
loves
need
you
to-
and relates to you. So you're like yucking it up with old
Right.
people and bikers and whatever. Like you're a bear. You're not some weird
Right.
foreign
I'm not a threat.
guy. You're this bear who's raising money for environment charity.
Other
And
bears.
people were lovely. It was fun.
Um,
It was a fun job. It was hard work, but it was.
Are,
it was good.
are people overall from the land down other... Oh, wait. Just quick cutest baby alert. Wow.
Yeah.
And then the Oz people are very fair people,
Yeah, they're lovely.
aren't they?
They're
And they
like-
do not have guns. And furthermore,
They're a lot like Canadians. That was my experience.
they are
It
and
seemed
they
a
are
lot
not.
like-
But
well,
I
they're
have heard
different, but
they are the American style of Canadian
Yeah.
land, and then the Kiwis might be more Canada. But I feel like I don't know, because the Kiwis don't want you to emigrate there.
the America
Wow.
Canada thing is a bit like the New Zealand Australia thing.
Right.
Big brother, little
Right.
brother kind of scenario, and the
But
vibe
if
is kind
we're-
of similar.
But
And-
if we're the news, oops.
But honestly, I found Australians to be just like Canadians. They were kind of same.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
Although
British
they
colony.
finally they gave it to the
They-
royalty, and they said,
which
"We're out. We're
I'm
out.
jealous.
We're out. Out. Oh, and you feel good about that? I'm
Well-
more of a monarchist. My
You know-
sister explained it to me.
I like them personally,
Okay.
but like the idea of monarchy is sort of lame. I kind of I'm against it because nobody's better than other people, and they're just born into it, so they shouldn't be special that way. But Charles seems like a good egg, and I like the Queen.
She's gone.
Yeah.
D. Passed. Charles the Third is king.
Yeah.
Everybody has cancer, but
I've seen him on quarters so far.
Oh, hurtful. It's true.
No,
Canada.
keep an eye out
too.
for them. They're
Yes.
out there. Check your change. I found a couple already.
If you listened to the last episode,
Did you hear that
upcoming-
Charles
No.
has got
Yeah.
cancer though?
Yes, I just said
A
that.
little
Charles
bit,
has
yeah.
cancer,
I know.
and the
Worried for
princess
him.
does too.
I know. It's a bit freaky.
It is. On the other hand, never mind that. But wait, the Duke, who is also passed, Philip, he specifically asked one of his military friends, I believe in the flying department, I'm sure they have a better name,
RAF.
okay, to give him a report about everything they knew about UFOs.
Oh yeah.
Did you know that?
I'd heard that he was interested. I didn't hear the details though.
That's what I have heard
Yeah.
on somebody else's
Yeah.
podcast. Could have been the Faust guy. Faust Chicho. You do excellent work, Faust Chicho.
I see you at night.
Yeah. So I kind of like the royals personally, although I don't really believe the idea that kings should exist. Like, they shouldn't. They're not special.
What do you know about the blood type?
I've heard
the
about that
RH,
Merovingian
come on,
bloodline
hey.
thing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
How do you feel about Illuminati, the Shining Ones,
Well, those
the
gotta
Anunnaki?
be in on it. Those royals have got to be in on it. That's
kidding.
what I've heard.
And the Rothschilds. Bunch of people got in
And
on that.
I've heard that sort of David Icke, they're all lizards
Yes,
thing, and
yes.
I find that pretty
I love the
fascinating.
Ike. I'm into
Yeah,
the Ike.
yeah,
And
the Ike is
Ike
good.
is hitting hard and heavy now, and he's top dealer money, and you can't.
Yeah.
He would never be on this podcast. He would never
Probably not.
come
He's like
to Space
he
Cab
lives
now.
he lives on the Isle of Man.
Craziest name ever.
It's a weird place. If you on a map, it's a little island between
Yes. And
Ireland
there's
and
fog
England.
surrounds
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
It
it's all
feels like
very-
Avalon.
Yeah, pretty much. I have a bunch of his old documentaries if you ever want to see
Do
them.
you?
Yeah,
Yes.
like all the ones he put out like 20 years ago.
Maybe we should put them in a reel and try to threaten at him. I did not say that.
Yeah, of course. It's recording. So maybe he said it.
Oh, would I? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about this reptilian thing. It sort of comes up in a lot of
It's
places. It's a
And
bit sinister.
Is it intensely sinister?
I think it might have something
buddy?
to do with the tall whites. Maybe.
Ooh, you do, eh? Oh, so what is this? You feel wrapped up, really? Because the tall. Okay, I know that they work with grays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my take is the Greys are kind of like the worker bees.
Yes, the machine
they're
elves.
kind
They're
of-
not the
yeah.
machine elves, Terrence
But
McKenna
kind of-
style, but they are,
They could be machine elves. That's a good enough word
in a
for
way,
them.
fair
Yeah.
enough for now.
Like, because the theory is that they're
Sidewalk
genetically
chatting.
designed. They're not.
They're fabricated.
Yeah.
They do have some. Oopsie. Oops. They are manufactured biologics.
Yeah, genetically engineered.
Correct.
Like,
And the
but
taller
they're grown
gray.
in a tube or whatever.
Right.
Just like they don't
Yes.
have a childhood. They'd like
Right.
come out
Right.
fully formed.
Right.
And trained.
And they're a little
presumably.
short. They're very
Yeah.
busy. They don't.
Yeah. But they have
But
awareness.
a taller
they're
gray.
conscious beings. Like
They
they're
are.
not
That's
robots.
right. That's
Yeah.
the word I forgot.
Yeah.
Consciousness. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a word you don't want to forget. But I
Well,
tend to forget it.
Sure. Well, it's a bit of an abstract concept, even though every moment of our existence.
Right. You're
is
either conscious or
Yeah.
not. Right.
Yeah.
It's one or t'other. And it's hard to know where you are on that wave.
Sure. Well, different times, different places. I think I mean,
Wow.
when you're sleeping,
A whole other thing.
yeah, like you're
Where do we
conscious,
go?
but
You
you're
get
not.
to go wherever you want. See, somebody else takes you. It's the Sandman.
I like
the
it.
Sandman.
I like it. I enjoy dreaming. Although I never
Me
remember
too.
my dreams very long.
Oh, but then I try hard to, and you get that little glimpses of them, that fleeting feelings. I get it if I decide to set the alarm ahead. It's one time to have a little bit of sleepy timey. Yeah, and I'm not going to tell everybody else's dream, and I'm struggling not to.
Do you get repeat dreams?
Oh,
I
the
get
old
repeat.
reoccurring.
Yeah,
You do?
I do.
Do
Yeah,
you?
certain ones. Yeah.
Like what?
Well, nothing is easy to describe. More like I'm in a certain place. I have lots of dreams like I'm
Not
at some weird
reason
place
to be
trying
that
to find my
spooky, is
way.
it? Why did I lose my handbag? Oh, it's that thing. Oh, she
Oh,
talks
it's
like
over
that.
here.
She doesn't mean it. It's all fine. No, we'll have to go over to the corner
I have this
shop and eat
strange
together. We have
dream.
to go to the corner shop together.
Okay,
Now.
great.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. We're still on Space Cab. Don't
Yeah.
worry. All right. Here we go.
Where are we going?
We just gotta find like a 5 and dime, like a little Mickey shop where I can buy some of the cigarillo.
Right.
Where are we? Is this Mexican?
Just past me.
Fascinating. There are people that sell them.
Yeah, we just need to find it. Like, they might have them at Shoppers, do you think?
No, at the drugstore, negative. It's not
They
the
used to,
30s.
but they don't.
Remember? Yeah. Not that we came specifically from the 30s. I don't know, maybe we did. Where's it a convenience? Danforth must have things like
I have
that.
lots of dreams about walking
What?
around cities I've never been to. And I imagine
Do
it all.
you?
Yeah, that's sort of a recurring thing that keeps happening.
And what happens?
I just walk around. Sometimes I find a really cool store and go in and look at it. I find record stores in these weird cities.
Do you?
Yeah, my
Do you
dreams.
buy stuff?
Yeah, kind of.
That's where. Does it really say that?
It did. Yeah, it was funny. It was on the
How
news.
many rocks should you eat a day?
It said that you should eat one small rock every
What?
day.
Small rock.
Every day.
I wonder, like well, you can't smoothie it.
You just got to swallow it.
You just have to
It doesn't
swallow one
dissolve
rock,
in anything.
right?
It's
It
a
doesn't,
rock.
and then you have to pass that
I'd
fellow
hope
at some
so.
point.
Presumably, but yeah.
Gee.
Oh, there's the two.
Yeah, I
babies.
know. God bless. I know the baby won't like this the second time. She likes you better. Oh no, she didn't. It's amazing. Thank you. What? I always just say thank
It
you.
is so cool. Well, it's just because we're in
Oh,
Miami.
and he's sweet. Oh my gosh. Everybody should be able to wear a long thing and just walk about. You shouldn't have to
Yeah, no, he
have
looks
to go
cool.
to a thing.
I like this
It
outfit.
should just be normal.
Well, it is in
Is
like,
it?
African places. Like, I mean,
Oh, surely that's not true necessarily.
in some countries, that's normal
Okay.
in the Arab world to wear like
Yes,
those
well,
sort
that's
of
not
dressy
Africa
kinda
then.
nightshirt
Yes,
things.
that is how people should dress if
Yeah.
they should like
In
to.
hot weather,
Love it.
makes sense.
Correct.
Yeah,
Cover it up,
Yeah.
keep it light,
yeah.
the water stay in. I think I somehow didn't save Danforth.
The file.
Because Spotify, I'm going to have to talk about you for podcasters, is turning over a new leaf upon itself.
Really? What's going on?
We have to use the Riverside, that's great.
Yeah,
done
Riverside
good work.
looks cool.
Good, fine.
Yeah.
They roll out a red carpet, etc.
Yeah.
But this is how I roll, and now that I think they're going to take this part away from us.
Is
So,
it like the app or whatever for Spotify?
Chatting at it. I don't know. They won't let us just record like this on the telly. I mean, on the telly. On the telephone. The telephony. The horn.
There's probably a way to get the file from your phone onto
Yes,
your
yes,
computer.
there is, certainly. But you got to remember all the part about saving the fucking ass things
No, it's
at the end of it. Thanks, Spotify. And furthermore, I don't know if I meant... Okay. I mean... Okay, there is obviously a lot to talk about in... Okay.
Those joints are pretty strong.
They were okay.
I'm pretty
Thanks,
spaced.
Canada
Yeah,
Land.
that was alright.
It's true. On the other hand, we did first imbibe
That's true,
proper
and that also
Irish.
was delicious, actually.
Hello.
Yeah.
There is
Jameson's.
nothing better.
Yeah.
What did Freud say about the Irish?
I don't know. Good question.
They cannot be psychoanalyzed.
That's interesting.
No. And I just want... Okay, here's something to talk about. Christopher Lang, we're on the dead board. We're
Barcelona
Barcelona. Oh,
I've been wanting to check that place
I
out.
know, I love
Looks
that.
like they got some neat
with the
stuff in
hot...
there. I keep riding my bike by it and saying, I'm
Gonna
going to
go
go
in
there
there
one
one
of these
day.
days, but it's closed right now, so not today.
I like a sardine. I like a big sardine. I don't know. This and that. Not every day.
I've been able to deal with sardine fillets without the bones.
Oh, I like
when you
anything
get the
without
whole
a bone.
fish
I
in
know
the
when you
can,
have
it
to-
freaks me out a little
I
bit.
know.
Like, I can get a big fish with bones because I can pick those bones out. You can
I don't know
deal
why
with
you
that.
decided to talk about this, but I like it. And I'm gonna... We have a mutual friend who shall not be named. Well, okay, I'm not gonna say it. It was cruel. I'm a cruel bitch. Okay, back to the Irish. Okay, let's go from the Irish to Jacques Vallée over to Skinwalker Ranch. Bring Christopher Nolan in it. Fucking bring, who's the other guy? There's Richard, and then there's the Doctor, and there's a Nolan and Dolan. Bring both of them to your Skinwalker fairy party with Irish people,
And
etc.
leprechauns.
Correct.
Leprechauns,
Correct.
probably.
Correct.
Which are probably gray aliens in disguise. I figure.
Who knows? Who knows?
That would be
Who
my
knows?
theory.
Who
anyway.
knows?
Yeah.
Why, when people have near-death experience, sometimes there's a gray sitting there.
That's got to mean something. I mean, I've heard that the
phenomena
aliens do
is
believe
bigger.
in the soul.
The aliens, do you believe in the soul? Oh!
That's what
Wait
I've
a
heard.
minute. I will tell you what Bob Lazar said he picked up was some kind of giant volume of world religions and what the aliens... I don't know if they're Ebens or Greys.
Yeah, it gets a bit fuzzy.
That
Yeah.
part's fuzzy. That's an
Yeah.
episode in itself. Felt towards Earth monkey peoples, us.
Well, I think they might have made us.
They said
Like they made us like a long time
they
ago.
see us as containers.
Yes,
And
yeah.
we had to keep our containers nice
Yeah.
and clean.
And I've heard that they've said that we are containers of souls, and they actually identify the idea of a soul, and basically like biological creatures. Like, have you ever heard about how in Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard talks about the souls
He gets
sticking on
implicated.
to the people and the thetans and all that stuff?
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's a little bit like what I've heard the aliens are talking about, which I'm not really sure what to think about, because I think L. Ron was a bit of a freak.
No, but he gets implicated. Other
Yeah.
podcasters have also spoken
Sure.
about the L. Ron. He gets implicated.
He does.
As
He does.
Star Trek man.
Roddenberry. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I believe they were both
And
friends
the council, they
with
got to
Jack
be at-
Parsons. Have you heard of Jack
Yes.
Parsons?
Can you maybe describe him more
He
fully?
was a rocket scientist. He's the guy that JPL Labs in California, where they make the rockets, named after
Was he
him.
kind of handsome and a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit freaky.
Yes.
There's a TV show about him that ran for 2 seasons. I'm
On
forgetting.
the Paranoid channel, which I hope has been absorbed by Tubi.
If you want to see it, I have it downloaded. You could watch it sometime.
Obviously does. You'll
Yeah.
have to go to Chris
Yeah.
Lang's...
Oh, whatever. I just need to figure out what it's called. It
Do you
was
want to
neat.
give your email to people in the land?
No.
Oh, bless. So you see where we're at. It's
I don't really like dealing with lots of emails.
Fair enough, that. Y'all.
Here, let me figure this out. Because it was on a network. It was on like maybe 5 years ago. It was called Strange Angel. And it was like this weird sort of show about like
And this
Jack
is the
Parsons.
Parsons?
It was in the 30s. It's a period piece.
I love the
It's
Parsons.
kind of wartime
love the
thing,
30s.
but he's like a super freak. Like he's like a cultist weirdo, but yet he's a scientist at the rocket factory doing like the high government
I
work.
know, with his mustachio.
Yeah, oh yeah,
He
no,
looks
he was
like Errol Flynn.
yeah, no,
It's
totally.
amazing.
Like dapper kind of
Dapper
freakazoid.
Dan. Yes.
It was kind of like
Hybrid? Alien? We
yeah,
don't know.
like that's him.
I know, that's handsome. Okay, kids, you're gonna have to
Like, look at the
obviously
hair.
search
Look at
yourself.
the hair.
Wow,
Jack
black,
Parsons.
jet black, handsome.
And he
Long
was
jacket.
buddies with like L. Ron Hubbard and Roddenberry. They both connect to him. And he was like a super freaky dude.
Elron was super freaky.
Have you ever heard his music?
Hey, I
There's
don't
albums of him playing synthesizer. It's hilarious. It's like, I mean, he was an ego guy with lots of money and did lots of bizarre things. He had
I
a
can't
navy.
wait till I can go home tonight and ask ChatGPT to write me an article, a shortish article for modern UAPs.
Yeah. No, they would know all about Hubbard, I would think.
They got weird. I asked them to write me a review of Chris Bledsoe's
that book.
UFO of
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that book that you have. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see. You're being.
No, Bledsoe. Like.
Oh no,
you
I know
showed me
who
the
you're
book
talking
that
about.
you-
Oh, Chris Lang's being detained. We're both obviously awaiting trials. So, wait a minute, Bledsoe. Yeah, but then ChatGPT, because I give him money now.
You're subscribed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I.
So you get the special
Yes,
ChatGPT.
yes,
You'll
and
probably get
Dolly.
the talking one soon.
I hope so. Stay
The
calm
flirty-
with
the flirty
me.
one?
No.
Did you hear? I
No,
told you about it.
no.
Yeah.
That's not
It was
gonna
on the
help
Daily
us.
Show. There was a funny bit about it on the Daily Show. With that blonde lady that they have on sometimes, I like her.
I mean, everybody likes Brownlee.
Yeah, but like on the Daily Show, she's new.
don't
She's
know.
one of the new hosts.
I don't know. Look at
Got
this.
Desi Liddick, I think is her
Okay.
name. And she talks about the GPT stuff. It's very funny.
It is funny, but I take their word on some things.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they had to look it up. They were like Chris Bledsoe, and it was like looking through Bing,
Yeah.
reading report, you know. And then
It's
it
neat
gave
how
me
it tells you what it's doing.
I like it,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
very
like the
interesting.
feeling of the phone writing it out. You feel it. It's a visceral.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
It is that. These badges are magnificent. I hope you know that, Mr. Lang. And should you want one, you will need to write us at spacecab13@gmail.com. Sorry about that part. Had to happen.
It's all right. That's
It's an algorithm. Also, if I'm gonna keep still.
but we'll make you a web shop where you can put stuff like that up.
Oh, and you heard it here first, friends. So,
I've done it before. I know what to do.
Oh,
It's like a WordPress thing.
all right.
So we'll set you up a WordPress.
I have that though.
Yeah, well, maybe
Okay.
we can add the shop to it.
Okay, see what you can do that.
Maybe. I think so.
I'm just paying for these things otherwise. You see,
Yeah.
I need an amalgamation of sorts. To
Well,
cut
it might
down
make
things
sense
and
to do it
make
on the
a
WordPress
business
you already
plan.
have.
All
'Cause you're
right.
not
Sorry, you have to listen to any of this. I'm gonna
Sorry,
turn
I
this off.
forgot we're recording.
If we have to need to stop it. Okay, that's enough of this. We're gonna stop now.
Yeah.
Dan for it.
But nobody had it yet, so it was kind of cool.
But what was that chain about?
It was a rainbow symbol.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is it anything to do with the rainbow connection?
No, you're just being crazy now.
I'm certainly not.
Are you recording that?
Obviously, I am.
What?
I love that song.
The Rainbow Connection or this song?
Yeah, no,
I love this song.
I'm not about the movie.
Yes.
Now because I'm working.
What are we doing? Do you remember when the face comes out of the pinto beans?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me just turn up the balloon and hand it to you so you can tweak it.
What a great song.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Well, you're all Mexicans here, as far as I've understood.
Yeah. Who is Robin Hickstock?
Oh, that guy. Oh,
He's blowing up with your nose?
and come in and just blow your nose.
Can you put that more over there? It's right beside you.
It comes from.
I go.
All right, I'll take the car for a drive.
So everyone wants everything?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
The salad is to die for.
Yes, it is.